everybody. Ginni, thank you for joining us again this year.
Thank you.
I know the theme of the conference this year is the new connected leadership, but I think another theme that's emerging is transformation. So we heard from Meg Whitman yesterday from HP. She's splitting the company into two. You're not doing that, are you,
Nope.
Ginni? No?
Nope.
Okay.
No need.
And tomorrow we'll hear from Mary Barr from GM. And today we're talking to you. So all companies that are undergoing pretty massive transformations. Ginni, IBM has been around for 103 years.
Yeah.
The same age as Gary's grandma. I don't know where he went, but they share a birthday. And you have 431,000 employees. You generate about 100 billion a year. But you've also had 9 consecutive quarters of revenue decline. And since you've come into the job, you've made a lot of changes, from acquiring new companies, investing in new technologies, internal transformations. What change out of everything that you've done over the last few years, what is having the most impact?
Yeah. You know, and I know there are a lot of new companies in the room, but I say always, you know, new companies will be old one day too. And so I think as you think about what you do, and I thought about my last 2 years, I said to my own team, you know, I said, every generation gets to reinvent the company, and this is our time. And you think about it, and over the last years, I think the most powerful thing we did was take the whole company and then crisply and clearly align it in this idea about continuing to move to higher value. And to do it, we had to align it around the shifts in the marketplace. And we're not done, but very much focused on that. So it's been all around the shifts of, for us, big data and analytics, the world of cloud, in the world I call engagement. But at the same time, it's been, in just my 2 short years, I've divested over $6 billion of businesses. In fact, just 2 days ago, we closed on one of the last ones. And so that idea that if you're going to continue to move to higher value and provide value, not just for your shareholders, although they're very important, and my most important one is here, but as well, the idea that you do it for your clients as well. And so that thought about, you know, always moving to higher value. And then at the end of the day, you said a lot of moves, and I think it's something we talk a lot about. And you know, I always think when I come to these conferences, do you pick up just a couple thoughts of maybe how to look at something? And I know something I ask myself every day is I say, you know, did I make decisions or do things that only I could do? If I'm doing things others could do, it's not a good use of my time. And I say that to my own team. You know, leadership makes a difference. Do you make the decisions that only you can make? And that's what's led us to, you know, we built a new Watson division, acquired the last and the largest, most important sort of public cloud company, put another $1 billion into expanding that, the partnership with Apple, a list that goes on. That's to me, like every day, ask yourself that.
But so is what you're saying, is it that articulating this strategy, communicating it, was that the most important factor here?
You know, strategy is about deciding what you will do and you won't do, and then taking and making the most strategic decisions and keeping people focused on it. So, you know, to Michal's point, when you're $100 billion, there are a lot of things that we do in markets that are critically important, may not be growing, but critically important, and then you have to reinvent at the same time. And I think that's where that clarity about, you know, it's kind of, there's a saying, clarity equals execution. That clarity about what you will become, and then you stay at it as you reinvent yourself.
So I know you like lists. Give us your top 3 rules for transformation.
Oh yeah, anybody who's been here before, it is this thing of 3s in me. I don't know, you know, they're good luck. There's all sorts of reasons. I'm going to bring that list. Why 3s? I think for me, what transformation's about, because I've before talked about this idea that growth and comfort don't coexist. And I talked about it when I was here last time. And I said I think it's true for people, for companies, for nations. But what does that mean? So what do you do? So the sort of the 3 things that I feel that I learned over the long run here. The first one was never protect the past. And if you never protect the past, I think, you know, one of the things you'll say to yourself, you'll be willing to never love something so much you won't let it go either. So that would be my first one. My second one is never define yourself as a product. And in fact, I would augment it. I often say never define yourself by your competition either.
It's good that you're not defining yourself as a product at IBM because you would be split personality.
No, and it isn't.
Thousands
It's
of products.
honestly driven more by, because if you live and define yourself by a product or your competition, you lose sight of who your customer is. And you lose sight of what you do is, because I always say, we don't exist without them. So that is why you define yourself not by a product, right? By what you offer. And then my third one is about this idea, always, no matter what it is this relentless reinvention of whatever it is that you do, this relentless reinvention. And I think I can remember one of the things in one of my conversations Warren had said to me, and I think it's a good question to ask yourself for any business when you make your decisions. Always people say, would I make the same decision? Because if you're relentless reinvention, you kind of have a mindset of being a steward for the long term, and you'll say to yourself, would I make the same decision if I was a private company or a public company? I think is a good question to always ask yourself when you make big decisions. And then I'll also share with you when I remember from this conference years ago. Mikhail, it would have been many years ago. It couldn't have been more than 16, but it was a number of years ago.
Older than that.
I always remember a quote. Some people may have. It was the late Ann Richards, and someone asked her a question about. She was the governor of Texas. And I'll always remember this quote because it goes with this idea of, relentless reinvention. And she said, someone asked her, what was the secret to her success? And she said, it's just passion and perseverance when everyone else would have given up. And I think there's a lot to be said for that on the idea of how you constantly reinvent a company.
So your first rule, don't protect the past. IBM has this very rich history. It's been around for an incredibly long time. And a lot of people come to the company and stay with the company. How do you bring about a cultural transformation, an internal transformation, get buy-in from, in addition to being decades old, you've got over 400,000 people, more than the population of Cleveland.
Yeah, but they're not all decades old or anything.
No.
Okay.
Some of them are very, very young. Some of them have been there for a long time. You have a wide range, of course. But how do you communicate your strategy? How do you get buy-in from everybody? How do you get everybody to move along with you?
Yeah, this is a topic I am very passionate about, and Michal knows this. And it's one of those that I think maybe there's something in here for everybody, because in a word I would have used the word engagement, or a phrase, engagement of your entire workforce. And I think we have the tools. I know we do have them in this day and age to do that. So when I think of social networking, but in an enterprise context, and I think of mobility, I think of those as kind of the tools of a production engine of the future. And so this has been something that we have undertaken that has allowed me, I think it's flattened the company, it puts speed in, and it gets everyone engaged in contributing. I'm a huge proponent. I give you just a little dosage or a couple ideas of what we've done. It started with some work we did to engage everyone. Every company's got a purpose. Ours, you've got purpose, you've got values. But then it was to have the whole company define, in order to move fast, not rules, but what would be sort of principles upon which you make decisions, right? Because rules, it's too long and you never can define. Life's too uncertain. So they all participated. Many of you have done these things with a jam to do that, these 9 principles that came up. Out of that, a mobile, believe it or not, they ended up with a mobile app. Of course, we gave it a name, 139. One purpose, 3 values, 9 practices. Frankly, they're behaviors, but our millennials did not like the word behaviors, so we have the word practices. And so we got lots of millennials. And so I then took that, and my way on how you move this workforce forward, we did something I think will end up being sort of a signature thing. IBM's past motto, early in its days, was think. And so we started something called Think Academy. I think it's now the largest massive online open course personalized to people's learning abilities. And it's compulsory for everybody in the company. It's the first Friday of every month. We've now done a year, so 12 of them.
And you actually teach.
I teach the first piece. I mean, I teach the first part of it, but I'm relentless about it. I teach the first piece, and then there's always a point of view, same, that has been put together that unites the whole company, always a client. I have a CEO that'll join me, that'll talk about how we're helping them transform their company. It's always around data cloud engagement, around the strategy, over, every month. I mean, everybody. and it's a piece for everyone, and then it breaks into paths based on your career, and then of course there's testing but the part that I think has been the most interesting, which I would really recommend, because while it's massive, it's online, it's open. I mean, they're talking to me the whole time while this is going on. So the transparency, the speed, the flatness, the feeling that they understand is so clear. And I have this vivid memory of a very fast, quick story of one of them. I don't know, it was a couple months in, and afterwards I got a message from one of them, and he says to me, and I don't have them with me now, but I wear glasses. I don't like them, but I wear them. And he says, hey, we notice that you take your glasses on and off all the time. And he then proceeds to give me 8 things I should do to check what's really wrong with my eyes. And so, I mean, buy them at the drugstore, take out 1 lens, put 2 on, and so
they're paying attention.
I said to my head of research, who was from a researcher, I go, hey, I said, you gotta love the little geniuses here. And he looks at the letter and he says to me, hey, Ginni, that's the guy that invented the LASIK. I said, okay, all right, so I got the point. But, I mean, they don't mind, right, anything, And so this thought, I really believe you can engage a whole workforce in a way that was never possible before. And that, in the end,
using technology,
adds to speed. The social mobile technologies that are there adds to speed.
Give us a few examples of some of the sessions that you've had on Think Academy.
Oh, well, like I said, they were always around cloud, big data.
But specific.
We did a really great one, obviously, on Watson, but we have done them on mobility and how to secure the world. I know there were lots of sessions here on mobility. I would share with you, for what it's worth, my quick 3 list of, I have a list of 9, multiples of 3, but I have a quick list of 3 on security that I say to any CEO that I spend time with. And about 2 weekends ago, we were 50 of us were together in a little meeting, and I said, guys, these 3 things, first off, I say all security issues come from, we did the training on this, by the way, so this is what jumped me to this story. I said, internal is your biggest issue. I mean, now we can, and we secure tens and tens of thousands of companies, including our own. And I said, internal is your first. So the first rule I have is, whatever you do, you've got to raise the IQ of your own workforce. And to me, the key is, you train them, you test them, you keep trying to trick them. Train, test, trick, over and over and over again. And it really does drive it home. Second thing, you have to have a fast response team, all parts of the business, permanent, lined up, ready to go, because everyone will have a problem. And then my third quick rule of thumb is, you have to protect your data. Don't think about it as a home with alarms on all your windows and doors. Those days are over. Assume bad things are in, and there are all different ways to protect your data. We'll go into another day. But those are my quick kind of 3 rules on that. That would be a long topic on security would be one of these sessions as an example.
Okay, and you mentioned Watson. We're going to hear a bit more about Watson in just a couple of minutes and actually see a demo of Watson in action.
Real Watson's here.
Yeah, Watson is here. So what has been the most challenging change that you've tried to bring about? What's been met with the most resistance?
I wouldn't say resistance, but I think, and I actually think everyone will identify with this. It's not resistance. I think it's the greatest challenge for all of us right now, and it is the pace of change. And because if you take a look, I would say it's our industry. So the advent of cloud, data, mobility, you would say these shifts in and of themselves, any one of them, would have caused a big shift in the technology industry. All 3 are at once, all 3 in parallel, which is causing this very large shift. It'll reorder our industry, but I believe it'll reorder many of your industries, and that's what's different. And so it's the pace of a combination and then the breadth of what that impact's going to be in the long run. And so what that all leads to then is just that constant speed of moving forward, that constant speed of change. And I think that's why clarity of a strategy, and you just keep moving, because that's the world. I think there's very few, as I listen to everybody introduce, that doesn't live in that same world now.
Okay. So going back to some of the specific changes that you've made, you acquired a cloud computing company, like you mentioned earlier. You've inked partnerships with Apple, which was a surprise to a lot of people, I think. And you have set aside $1 billion into Watson.
Yep.
How many of you, by the way, saw Watson kick human butt on Jeopardy a couple of years ago? Raise your hands.
Yeah,
all right, and hopefully people are somewhat familiar with Watson, but maybe you can just kind of set this up for us and tell us what Watson is.
Yeah, just 2 seconds on this. This is, in time, all of computing history, the first sets of computers counted. The second, everything you have, any phone, you name it, is programmable. Watson is the beginning of a whole series. It'll be a decade that'll roll out of systems that you don't program them, they learn. They learn, and in their peak, they reason. And they will, in my mind, redefine the relationship between man and machine. It's not to replace. You will very clearly, I think, when you experience it, you see that. And this was, Mikhail and I talked about this, and Warren and I have talked about this a couple times. We were talking about this conference and said, we'll bring him. So this is the first time, and there's a reason I'm going to actually, it's not a product demo. This is what you're going to see. This is the real Watson, Watson for Healthcare and Oncology. And I'm pleased to say that tomorrow we're announcing that Watson, we've just formed a partnership with the largest private medical system in Southeast Asia, and 1 million patients will now be served. And they will be served in oncology. These people will never, ever had a chance to go to Memorial Sloan Kettering, the Cancer Center in New York City. And this is how they will be served for their oncology diagnosis. And so I'm going to quick show you. And normally, you have these monitors at your desk, because it is the real Watson. And they had a little technical faux pas. It was not Watson. They had a little flood. And so
if you will just look to.
But I'm going to just try quickly. If you look up and even just to listen to me.
Look to the monitors on the sides, and some of you in the back have individual monitors.
A topic near and dear to your heart. So a system that learns. Near and dear to your heart is breast cancer. 2 million women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. We think in America this is improving, but the issue is worldwide it's not. Increased 20%, 14% increase in mortality worldwide. So this is the real Watson diagnosing what is the treatment for a woman with breast cancer. Again, a little print if you can't see it up there, but what you're going to see is a woman, she has stage 2, she's had a mastectomy. My team back there is just hitting the buttons on it. This is the real thing, so obviously he's going off now, and he is pulling together every medical record, every doctor note, every EMR, anything that's been written on her, and he's summarizing it, he's highlighting it, he's putting only the facts a doctor needs to know related to oncology all in here.
Now, this is something that a doctor would view?
This is a doctor, this is the real thing the doctors are viewing. Okay. He's looking at all information, it's highlighted, it's patient's notes, it's read them, it knows what pertains to this cancer, and he's looking at the little different notes here. He's going to come down. He's going to also note, I'm only going to point this out to you quickly, the patient has something called an ejection. It's got to do with how your heart works and the blood flow. He sees everything, hits go ahead, it's all, understand it, don't update it. It's going to get back, what are the treatment choices? You'll see them at the side. By law, first one is clinical trial. Second one, it says it's chemo, followed by endocrine therapy, followed by radiation. Go ahead, he's going to pick on that. He say, but what kind? Those of you that know a lot about this, for breast cancer, there's 800 different kinds of chemotherapy. So the reason I want to show you this one is, you'll notice they're green, yellow, red. There's 3 in green. Any regular oncologist would have picked the 3rd form of chemotherapy. In this case, and I'm going to show you why Watson ranks up at the top the first, he goes back and tells the doctor, remember that little ejection you saw back there? If you don't, the second you go with what's traditional, the chances of a heart attack and cardiac failure are high. So this is the real, this is not search, this is the real world of what I think the world we're going to face, and I think will revolutionize and change healthcare.
And give us just a sense for what's going on behind the scenes with Watson. How much data is
I should have mentioned,
crunching?
Just for what he did here, he's been fed 300 medical journals, every version they've ever had for time, 200 textbooks. He has got 18 million, I think, different documents, and then countless hours of training from the best physicians in the world on oncology have trained him over this time. So that's why he's now ready for prime time. And like I said, it'll just imagine all these countries in Asia that would never get to these cancer centers. So that's artificial intelligence. Yeah, he can do banking and other things too, by the way. So, but I also thought you would like something fun. We would end on.
You cannot sing like Warren Buffett.
No. In fact, I'm going to illustrate he cannot sing in 1 minute because you're going to hear him. And we thought just another way to stretch your mind as you think about, because for all of it, I believe all this information is going to redefine our jobs. It's going to redefine our professions, redefine education, by the way, all the data that's out there. So this is pushing the edges of what will not be that long away. you are going to see, actually he's not come out in public yet. This is the debater of Watson. So a couple interesting things. In this case, the only thing in Watson's brain is Wikipedia. So imagine if all you knew was Wikipedia. Okay, I'm sorry but you will also find his biases. But so all he has is Wikipedia. But what he's going to go do is he's going to form arguments, pro and con. This is the world we're going to live in. So think of, for the lawyers, he's not trying to do your job, but it is a case of when you want to make decisions and you want to test the edges on things.
Yeah,
so,
just curious, how many of you were on debate teams?
Anybody on a debate team in school?
All right, you will appreciate this.
Okay, so let me get the team to bring Watson. So he's going to bring Watson up.
Hello and welcome to IBM Debating Technologies. Today we shall focus on detecting relevant claims. To proceed, please select the topic, and I will share with you my top predictions for pro claims and con claims.
Yeah, we haven't worked on his voice much, okay? So, it's not, I don't know what to tell you. We tried a child, nobody liked it. People were scared about a smart child. We tried a woman, they didn't like. Too stern, there's all these different research, but that's for another day. So, we'll pick one, and what he's going to do is he's going to go through all of Wikipedia and assess for you and tell you if you want to make a case for this and against this. So I'll pick the first one. We could pick another if you're interested, but should, for those of you investors, alternative energy replace fossil fuels?
Scanned approximately 4 million Wikipedia articles, returning 10 most relevant articles. Scanned all 3,000 sentences in top 10 articles. Detected sentences which contain candidate claims. Identified borders of candidate claims. Assessed pro and con polarity of candidate claims. Constructed demo speech with top claim predictions.
He just wants you to know how hard he's working. Okay, so listen.
You have selected the topic. Alternative energy should replace fossil fuels. I would like to raise the following claims in support of the topic. Sustainable energy options are now becoming mainstream. In addition, a healthy supply of alternative energy sources will help to combat gasoline price spikes. Moreover, there is no shortage of renewable energy. Additionally, the commercialization of clean energy has helped countries around the world pull out of the 2009 global financial crisis. Finally, investing in renewable energy can have significant dividends for our energy security.
Okay, now he's going to make the case why this would not be a good idea.
You have selected the topic. Alternative energy should replace fossil fuels. I would like to raise the following claims that contest the topic. Renewable energy technologies are only viable through costly subsidies and not able to produce energy reliably to meet demand. Additionally, simply switching to domestic energy would not be secure inherently. Furthermore, the existing technologies are not yet adequate to replace the role of fossil hydrocarbon fuels. Finally, expansion of farming for biofuel production causes unacceptable loss of biodiversity for a much less significant decrease in fossil fuel consumption.
Pretty right. So you can, so that's instead, or I typed by this into a search engine, or you could read 4.5 million articles on the topic.
By the way, I know you also at some point experimented with teaching Watson the Urban Dictionary, and that did not go so well.
Yeah. Well,
he had a little bit of a potty mouth, apparently.
Well, I mean, he has no bias. So
right.
Some of the words, I think the only thing we ever did was take the swear words out. So, because he can swear. And so this point, again, was not meant to be. It was, to me, the reason we had talked about even showing it. We've talked every year about this new era. And I think for every one of us, I think about this in running my own company. And I want to circle back, why would I both show you? It is this idea that I think one of the greatest opportunities we will all have is to solve problems that we otherwise today walk by. We walk by solvable problems. But there is so much information out there, you can't deal with it. And we are going to have the chance to solve some of the biggest problems in the world. And I think this gives you the feeling that once you know the answer, it will be impossible to unknow the answer, and we will be more compelled to act on many different things, be that education, be that healthcare. And to me, this is, I believe in all our businesses, the world that why these are such important things for our businesses today.
All right, well, on that hopeful note, Ginni, thank you so much for your time.
Yep, thank you guys, thank you.
Good. Got caught in my chair, just right through there.